All right, it's 3 o'clock. What's up, my friends? We have a Game 7 tonight. The Mariners at the Blue Jays. That first pitch at 5:10 on Fox. The Blue Jays are a short favorite. Kirby and Bieber is the pitching matchup. Mariners trying to reach the World Series for the first time. The Blue Jays trying to return for the first time since '93. Awesome. The Portland Trailblazers with some big news ahead of Wednesday's season opener, agreeing to extensions with both Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharp. Sharp got 4 years and $90 million, while Camara got 4 years, $82. The Blazers open up their season Wednesday. They're going to host the Timberwolves. Tip-off at 7. Our coverage will start with the Rip City Drive live from Moda at 3 o'clock. And don't forget, every Trailblazers game can be heard streaming on our free iHeartRadio app. Sean Hyken, our Trailblazer Insider, will join the show at 3:20. The top 5 is the same in both polls after a wild Saturday. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Bama, and Georgia. Oregon is 6th in both polls. Rip City Drive's next.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's time for the Rip City Drive, hosted by the crazy and often irrational Chad Doing. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill.
Nix keeps it, rolls to his right, inside the 5, Nix to the goal line, and Bo scampers into the end zone with a Denver touchdown. Harvey stays in the game. He's lined up behind Nix, who's under center. Nix rolls to his right, throws the ball into the flat. R.J. Harvey has it, and Denver has a touchdown. Broncos are back at the line of scrimmage. Bidet again, wide left outside of Cortland Sutton. He resets to Nix's right with 3 receivers outside his right. Nix on a design quarterback run. Bo inside the 10. Bo inside the 5. Touchdown, Denver! Holy mackerel! The Broncos are an extra point away from putting 30 on the Giants in the fourth quarter. An attempt of 39 yards for the win. Snap, placement, kick on the way. It is good! Bronco players celebrating like they just won a home playoff game in most improbable fashion. Down 19-0 starting the fourth quarter. They come from behind not once, but twice. They beat the Giants at the gun, 33-32.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
Well, I think this weekend gave us a prime example of why we love sports and why this job is so much fun. I love sports, and this weekend was a perfect example as to why. We had big-time upsets all across college football. The Denver Broncos did something yesterday that was unreal. 33 points in the fourth quarter to come back and beat the New York Giants 33-32. It was a shocking fourth quarter. I still can't believe it. I went back and watched it not once but twice last night to make sure that what I thought I saw is actually what I saw. But it goes back to Friday night with the Mariners' improbable victory in Game 5 that started with the Cal Raleigh home run. It was a pop fly that was hit a million miles into the air that just continued to carry out of the park. And once Raleigh got that out and tied the game, the Blue Jays bullpen came apart at the seams. Mariners loaded up the bases, and then of all players, my man Gino Suarez hits a grand slam, and the Mariners win it 6-2 to take a 3-2 series lead going back to Toronto. Unreal. Incredible drama. Major League Baseball playoffs is sensational. And then on top of that, you've got Shohei Ohtani going Babe Ruth for the Dodgers. Let's see here. I think I'll go with 10 strikeouts, dominate the Brewers lineup, and then I'll hit 3 home runs, including one out of Dodger Stadium. Now, how on earth do you have a night like that, one of the best we've ever seen in playoff baseball? Fast forward to Saturday. Well, hold on for 1 second. Lost in the mix of all the craziness with the baseball on Friday night is the fact that the Miami Hurricanes, we kept waiting, and then boom, Mario struck again. The Louisville Cardinal went down to Miami and topped the Canes, giving them their first loss of the year. Incredible. And I said on Friday on the show That was a game to watch because both teams, Miami and Louisville, two of the best defensive fronts along with Texas Tech in the entire country. And then Miami goes out there and gets beat. Incredible game. Great game. Great college football game on a Friday night. And then on Saturday, my ASU Sun Devils, led by Kenny Dillingham, coming off a 42-10 beatdown at the hands of Utah the previous week. They come out as a more than touchdown underdog at home. And I had mentioned that the Sun Devils are 34-20-1 as home underdogs over the last 30 years. Make that 35-20-1 as they controlled the game, only to give up the lead late in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go. And then Sam Levitt from West Lynn and Jordan Tyson led them down the field. They score a touchdown and win the game, 26-22. You can knock the Red Raiders from the ranks of the unbeaten. An incredible game. And it goes to show you that, as Lo Neal used to tell me all the time, Chad, you got to understand, the game is special teams is a third, defense is a third, and offense is a third. Special teams gets overlooked. The Sun Devils had two of the worst special teams plays that you can imagine at the very wrong time, giving up a 19-7 lead. And the Red Raiders took the lead with 2 minutes to go. But when you have the better quarterback and you've got a big-time receiver, that's the kind of stuff that can go down. That crazy scramble throw to Tyson on 4th and 2 was awesome. And then on top of that, you had multiple teams, Ole Miss. Just go down the line. So many big names went down, shifting up the rankings that we saw come out today. Oregon is 6th in both polls. The top 5 is the same in both. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Bama, and Georgia. Oregon is 6th after their beatdown of Rutgers. And if there was ever a time that I've been watching a college football game when they should implement a running clock, that would have been the game. It's like, hey, Greg Schiano, what are you doing out there? Your team looked like they quit and that they didn't even want to be out there on the field as Oregon was clowning them. And what did we say after the loss to Indiana? What I said. It's a loss. You got beat by one of the best teams in the country. You learn from it, you make corrections, and you move on. And that was the perfect answer after that loss to Indiana. You go out there and just wreck Rutgers, destroy them, and then you reset everything and just get right back on track. And would they really lose? They're 6th in the country. They may not have a pathway to the Big Ten title game because of Indiana and Ohio State, but they're right in line for the playoff berth, and that's all that really matters. So Saturday was awesome. And then you fast forward to Sunday, and I'm just doing a little bit of work in the morning, kind of easing into my Sunday morning, checking out some of the games, and then the Denver Bronco game happened. And I thought the Giants would be game. I thought they would be competitive with Jackson Dart and my guy Cam Scatterboo. They came out and dominated the first 3 quarters, building a 19-0 lead. 19-0. It should have been 21-0, but their kicker missed an extra point and then later would miss an extra point that would prove very costly. And then after 3 quarters of no offense, no rhythm, no offense, bad play calling, Sean Payton not knowing where he's at, Bo Nix looking awful, the Broncos got going. And they really got going. And if you look at the box score, the score line in the game for the Broncos by quarter, it simply reads 0-0-0-33. They scored 33 points in the fourth quarter and trailed 26-8 in the game with like 6 minutes to go, and somehow they won the game. What's even more ridiculous is that they took the lead and gave it back. And with 33 seconds on the clock and no timeouts, they got down the field with 2 completed passes, one to Marvin Mims, one to Cortland Sutton. Game over with a game-winning field goal. It was truly remarkable. In fact, I think we should relive what went down yesterday. I've been a Bronco fan for like 40 years. 40. And I've seen some crazy games with Peyton Manning and John Elway. I've seen some crazy ones. But what happened yesterday, scoring 33 points in that fourth quarter, is an all-timer.
Dobbins a block to the end zone, deflected, and did Franklin get it on the ricochet? Touchdown, Denver. Nix for 2. Grabs Sutton in front of Belton. And 2 more on the board. 19-8 is the score. Scattered with the back. 3rd and 17. And he'll cut a pass. Caught on the ricochet. It's grabbed here by the galloping Johnson. He'll be chased to the play by Barron. Did he get in? He did. Touchdown. 2nd down and goal. Fake handoff. Here comes Nix in pursuit. Thibodeau getting a block. And he'll get inside the pylon. That is a touchdown. Nix with the block by Bidet to the end zone. Caught for 2. And grabbed by Franklin.
Denver's not stacked in at the line of scrimmage.
It's a 3rd and 5. They come up the middle. Heavy pressure in the third. Intercepted. It's picked off by Sternad. He breaks the tackle. Breaks another. Now inside the 20. Oh, disaster. What a play. Harvey the back. Nix chased by Thibodeau. Backpedaling. Touchdown. Harvey. And the Broncos are back in business. And cash in on the interception of Dart. Dart on 3rd down and 8. Boy, they're crowding that line. Here they come. They bring 5. Dart to the air. No! To Robinson. McMillan the coverage. 4th down and 8. Nix to the air. Bowles with the block. Nix going long. And caught by Mims. 1st down. Giants have led the entire game. Nix underneath. Ingram. Out of bounds. Oh, he stayed in and finally brought down by Belton. It's a catch and run. He's inside the 20. Nix will take it himself on 1st and 10. Blocked by Bowles. Touchdown, Denver. The Broncos have their first lead today. Dart.
Barely get it.
Here they come. Here he goes, and it is bobbled and caught. Robinson reels it in, but
I think he's got it. I think he did.
McMillan was right there, and they give him the 1st down.
Is that Peyton all the way out with the officials? He's down at the 2-yard line out on the field. He's got to be careful not to get a flag.
And he just got a flag. 1st and goal. Dart will run it himself and dives.
Oh, they're saying he's short.
Short inside the 1.
I don't know. I don't think his knee ever went down. That looks like a touchdown.
It looks like a touchdown is right. He missed earlier. And
missed again.
No! He missed that one again. 1st and 10 from their 23. And no timeouts. Nix. Long down the middle and caught at the 48-yard line and grabbed by Mims. Nix. And caught by Sutton. Got it on the side. Newman was there. Traboni the snap. Crawshaw, the rookie, will hold it. Will Lutz. 39-yard field goal for the win. He got it. Denver has won.
Yeah, I have no idea how that happened. And I'll say this, the Broncos had no business winning that football game. But then again, they had no business getting robbed by the officials in week 2 after Indianapolis lined up for that 60-yard field goal and missed it, and they got punked with a stupid leverage call. That's one of those double-barrel television, calls by the official. They got screwed there. And they got one back yesterday and are now atop the AFC West at 5-2 with 4 straight wins. All right, telephone number 503-248-0620. This guy here said he was going to call in. This guy was hitting me up before the Broncos even started their comeback. He was about to lose his mind with a missed holding call. And how about that pass interference call at the end of the game that the Broncos got screwed on? The officials suck, and the bad calls usually balance themselves out. Incredible game. That is an all-timer right there with 33 points in the 4th quarter. John in West Lynn, Giants fan, is with us. John, the stage is yours. Fire away.
Man, being a Giants fan for the last decade has been a rough one. But I can say that this game is probably one of the best I've seen in the last decade.
It was incredible. I have seen a lot of crazy football games, but that one up right there is near the top.
Yep, and I definitely gained and lost hope multiple times, and I think, I saw that, questionable, no call right there, and I called you, and immediately shot back, relax, you guys got this. And I knew at that moment at 5:15 that, they were going to make that comeback. And my question to you is, at what point in the game did you start believing that the Broncos could win?
The interception, right when they got the pick by Sternad and he returned it down to about the 18-yard line. That was the play that the Broncos needed to have a chance, because if the Giants, if they throw an incomplete there and they punt the football, Denver would have had to go probably 75 to 80 yards to be able to score a touchdown. It would have taken too much time, and they'd already burned some of their timeouts. So I think that the interception they gave the Broncos the ball in plus territory in the red zone is, I think that's the play that they really needed to get over the hump.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I was in the middle of we're in the middle of the game. I'm sitting next to Bronco fans at the Independent in downtown Portland, and that is the moment that they were like, I think we can do it. So thank you for taking that question. I have one last one.
Well, I have a question for you, because you were complaining about the no call and the holding on the Bo Nix scramble run for a touchdown. So my question to you is, where do you come out on that ridiculous pass interference penalty at the end of the game?
Yeah, I was sitting next to some Charger fans, and I kind of looked validation from them. And, he his arm was coming up, and it was kind of held down. It's one of those ones that, could have been a no call, and I'd be okay with that. So, obviously I was back in the game then, so I was happy about it. But definitely questionable.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. What's your other question?
Well, I know how you feel about Cam Scatterbo. We all love him. He's the best. But Jackson Dart, I have a question. Is it real, or is this just another Linsanity?
Well, I think from what I've seen so far, I think he looks like he's going to be a darn good quarterback. The problem is the sample size is so small that, we just need time to be able to figure it out. I'm in the same boat with Bo Nix. Like, I think he's a franchise quarterback, but I need to see more time. So I don't think you're going to get a real sense on Jackson Dart until, maybe the middle part of next year. I think just be patient and let Dayball. The good thing is he's got Dayball, who's a very good quarterback coach, and Dayball believes in him. I like his moxie. I like his mobility, and he's been making some big-time throws. And even that final drive there, I mean, you got to feel pretty good. I know the loss sucked. It's like a kick in the balls, but you've got to like what you see from the young quarterback who, after the Broncos took the lead, he was able to battle back, completed that pass on 4th and 19. He put him in a position to win the game. He did his part yesterday against a very good pass rush and a good defense. So I like everything I see from him right now. And he's got the legs and mobility to hurt you that way. So he's and his mom's beautiful. So he's got everything going for him.
Well, we knew there were going to be some rookie bumps, but, he's competed against teams in the AFC that are supposed to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm definitely happy as a Giants fan. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, you got it, man. You should be. Yeah, that was awesome. What a game. What an experience. All right, we'll come back, and Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report, is going to join the program. We'll get his take on the two extensions. 4 years, $82 for Toumani Camara, 4 years, $90 for Shaedon Sharpe. Are they bargain deals? Is it a good idea? We'll find out next here on the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, he is the host of the Trailblazers Insider Show with Sean Highkin here on 620 Rip City Radio that you hear each and every week. You can also read him at rosegardenreport.com. He's got his new piece up. Toumani Camara, Shaedon Sharpe agree to extensions with the Trailblazers. What it means. It's our Trailblazer Insider, Sean Highkin, who's back on the Rip City Drive. Sean, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. We're just a couple of days away from the season opener, but Camara and Sharpe get their extensions done with the team. Are you surprised that Joe Cronin was able to get this work done before the season?
I'm not really. I mean, it literally had to get done in the case of Shaedon. Today was the deadline. The deadline just passed about 25 minutes ago. I went into the start of training camp thinking that something probably wouldn't end up getting done between Sharpe and the team. And then as camp kind of wore on and we saw, everybody was telling us behind the scenes, how great Shaedon has looked, and then you saw how he played in preseason. At that point, I kind of started to think something might get done, and they got it done yesterday. And then with Toumani, I'm a little surprised that one got done now because there wasn't really a deadline on that one, and they could have done the same deal next off season if they wanted to, but they didn't have to do it for another year because they could have picked up his fourth year team option and then done it then. But they clearly just on all sides, I think everybody just wanted to get this all out of the way so nobody ever has to think about it again.
All right, Sean, I want to deal with each player individually. For me personally, I looked at the news and the deals, and I think, man, that's a pretty good bargain for players that we think have a pretty high ceiling. But let's start with Shaedon Sharpe, 4 years and $90 million. Look at it from both sides for me and how it makes sense.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a risk for both sides because if you're Shaedon, let's say he does have an all-star breakout year this year and then goes into restricted free agency, he might be able to get more. But let's say that he doesn't do that. Let's say, he has either another injury-plagued year like he did his second season or just kind of an up-and-down, uneven year in terms of production and standing with the team like he had last year. Then maybe he goes into restricted free agency, and the same thing happens to him that happened to guys like Cam Thomas and Jonathan Kuminga and Quentin Grimes this summer, where he's just kind of left out there dangling the whole offseason and then has to sign a deal that basically nobody is happy with, either the qualifying offer or like a lower dollar amount, and then you go into training camp next year with all these weird vibes about, like, do they want me? Do they not want me? I didn't get the money that I wanted. So this just takes that off the table for him. And then from the Blazers' standpoint, I mean, they still clearly very much believe in his long-term upside and his, and even, and we've seen flashes of kind of what it's been, what it can be at the highest end outcomes at times over the course of his first three seasons in the league. But he hasn't, consistently had the kind of production that you would want to have to pay a guy, $100 million or more, or, anything close to the max that he could have gotten or anything like that. So I think the number that they ended up landing on, that $90 million, kind of makes everybody feel good. The Blazers, if you're Shaedon, $90 million is $90 million. We talked to him at practice today. He called it life-changing money, and it is, even if maybe other guys in his draft class got more, or maybe he could have gotten more. That's still $90 million that he's got guaranteed locked in over the next over the rest of the decade. And then from the Blazers standpoint, even if he doesn't hit his highest end outcome, he's making about $22 million a year on this new deal. That's just good starter money for this in this current, salary cap climate with the numbers being as high as they are. So I think this one worked out pretty well for both sides.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Now, you and I had talked about this. If the team had decided they wanted to wait until after the year based on the uneven performance we've seen thus far in his career, I would have been fine with that. But when I started hearing about the number of 4 years and 90, I thought, man, if you can get that done now and potentially get him on a savings based on his potential, it's really a good thing because you're right. If he does hit, he would be worth more than that. So I kind of like it. I think it's a good value. I don't think it's an overpay. I think the Blazers got him at a bargain price.
I would call it about a fair price. I don't know if I'd go as far as bargain yet. Now, it could become a bargain if he has the kind of year that everybody thinks he's going to have coming out of this training camp and preseason. If he becomes an all-star, then suddenly that becomes one of the best contracts in the NBA. But like I said, even if he just kind of doesn't evolve, progress quite at that pace, $22 million a year is still just kind of the going rate for fourth or fifth starters these days. So it's not. I don't think this is the kind of contract where it's going to look terrible in 2 years, even if he doesn't become an all-star. This is just kind of what starters in the NBA make these days.
All right, the other one, Toumani Camara. We all love him because he's terrific, great defender, and he's showing some, abilities on offense, and he's progressing there, which is nice. At 4 years and 82 for the position he plays, what do you think about the price there that the Blazers paid?
That's absolute A+ across the board. Like he actually, and it'd be interesting to, look at this. So he actually, as a second round pick signing this early, he would have been eligible for up to $87 million over the 4 years. So he actually took $5 million over that time. 82 versus 87. That's not nothing. I mean, it's still $82 million. It's still $82 million for a guy that was a late second-round pick, so I don't know if he was really going to quibble that much, but that's not an insignificant amount of a discount that he took, and I even think if he had signed for the full 87 that he was eligible for, that would have been a no-brainer for the Blazers to get that done. So I think everybody's got to be thrilled with the way this shook out. The Blazers get one of their, and I would argue maybe their most important player going forward at a pretty good price, and then he, as a guy who was the 52nd overall pick in the draft 2 years ago, is going to be making $82 million. Like, I think everybody's pretty happy with the way this shook out.
Yeah, no question about it. So now you've got these two guys locked up, Kamara and Sharp. They just got Javonte Cook on a two-way deal. So what's left business-wise for the Blazers? They're pretty well set now?
Yeah, I think that was everything.
Well, that's good. Joe's been doing some work this summer.
Yeah, it's been a pretty efficient summer. Not a lot of drama. I mean, outside of like the Dame thing that kind of came out of nowhere, but everything is. And I will also say that as far as the Blazers' salary cap stuff going forward, even with these two new extensions that Sharp and Kamara just signed, and still having the Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday money on the books for the next few years, they're going to be right around the salary cap next year. And so they'll have quite a bit of room under the luxury tax to play with and be able to, they'll be able to use the full mid-level exception without even being close to being over the tax. So like their books are in pretty good shape, even with all these new deals, because, you keep in mind Denny Avdia is on that really team-friendly contract for 3 more years. And then a lot of their other young guys, Scoot Henderson, Donovan Kling, and Young Hansen, those guys are all still on rookie-scale contracts for the next couple of years at least. So their books are in pretty good shape.
All right, Sean Highkin, Trailblazer Insider from Rose Garden Report, is with us here on the Rip City Drive. For those Blazer fans who aren't as familiar, Javonte Cook, they got him on a two-way contract. What can you tell us about Javonte, or what should people know about Javonte Cook?
Well, he played at Division II at Winston-Salem State, and he's been in the G League the last 3 years. I would imagine this is probably going to be he's probably going to spend a lot of time in the remix system as a guard, but with Scoot Henderson being out the next couple of weeks at least, I would at least kind of provide some added guard depth along with Caleb Love and Blake Wesley behind Drew Holiday.
That's terrific. Well, we got the season opener coming up on Wednesday. What are you looking forward to with the season opener on Wednesday? What are you going to be watching?
I mean, just everything, honestly, man. Like, this is just, you want to see what, all this stuff. You want to see, the new offense that they've been putting in, how that looks, against one of the better defenses in the NBA in Minnesota. So that's going to be kind of a tough first test. Obviously, I'm interested in Young Hansen's actual NBA debut after kind of an up and down preseason for him as expected. And then, a lot of the new pieces, Drew Holiday, that's going to be cool to kind of see him actually play in a real game for the Blazers. And then, we still don't know as of right now what the starting lineup is going to be.
I was going to ask you that. You haven't heard anything?
Yeah. He said at practice today that he knows what it is, but he wasn't going to tell us today because he wants today to be all about Shaedon and Toumani.
Oh, okay.
The other thing I got to say from practice today, and this is certainly good news for everybody, is that they had everybody available and participating in practice today outside of Dame and Scoot.
Nice.
So, Toumani Camara missed the last 2 preseason games with a knee soreness. He was a full go today. Denny Avdia missed the second half of the last game in Utah with back soreness. He was a full go. And even the 2 guys that haven't done anything so far in preseason or training camp, Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams, they were both full participants in practice today with no restrictions, according to Chauncey Billups. He didn't commit one way or the other as far as who is or isn't going to be available to play for opening night. I would imagine that Denny and Toumani are both good to go, but the other two with Matisse and Rob, we don't know yet. But the fact that they were doing full participation in practice is certainly not a bad sign.
That's great. Do you think the players know who the starting lineup's going to be yet?
I would imagine so, but I guess I think we'll probably find out tomorrow.
Okay, great. This is awesome. I'm pumped, Sean. This is pretty exciting, and it's nice to know that Billups is going to have access to most of his players, and a nice stiff test coming up on Wednesday against Minnesota. Now, we'll save more of your projections, your predictions, what you think is going to happen this year with the team for Wednesday. But, man, I appreciate you coming on, and great work covering both the signings of Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharpe.
Yeah, good to talk to you, Chad.
There you go. Sean Highkin, your Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report. Yeah, I think the deals are great. I mean, I really don't have anything to complain about. I think you get Toumani Camara at 4 years, 82, bargain. And Shaedon at 4 years, 90, bargain. Because I believe that Shaedon Sharpe is going to take a major step forward this year. That's what I believe. And once he does and showcases what he's truly about, all of a sudden that 4 years, 90, it's like bargain. And that's a good thing. And not only that, but the contracts for both players, if you needed to move one or the other in the future, much easier to do that with the type of numbers that you're looking at. So this is good news. Man, the Blazers doing a lot of good work throughout the course of the offseason. I mean, think about all the different things that have been done. We've been treated to brand new scoreboards and stat boards at Moda Center. They look spectacular. The team drafted Young Hansen from China that people are excited about. They made the deal to bring in Drew Holiday, who's going to be a major boost right away. Damian Lillard is back in a Trailblazer uniform. And now they have re-upped both Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharpe. So the core pieces are intact and locked in. So now the Blazers can go out and just focus on good, honest basketball coming up on Wednesday. And that is pretty good. It's amazing, man. We are truly in the ultimate sports month right now. It's too much. It's almost too much for me to handle to try and stay on top of everything. And my dad was super bitter yesterday. He started watching the Bronco game, and then he stopped watching the Bronco game, and then I called him to inform him that he should probably watch the rest of the game. He's like, "Are you messing with me?" I said, "No, you should just probably watch it." I didn't give him any details or tell him what went down. And then he watched it, was amazed, and then he was still upset because they look the way they do. And like I told him, I said, hey, it's always good to work through your issues when you're winning ball games. The Broncos have won 4 straight games. They are atop the AFC West, and they're not even close to playing their best football. That's a good place to be. And, oh, by the way, now you understand why I always just default pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win the division and be a factor. They look awesome now, don't they? You don't judge a team in the first quarter of a season unless they're the Jets, and we know that they suck, and they really do suck. 0-8. I'll ask the question again to head coach Aaron Glenn. Hey, Coach, do you still have confusion as to why people refer to you as the same old Jets? I mean, is it starting to make sense, or are you still confused on that? I know you hate it when people say that, but do you at least understand a little bit as to why people say that now? It's because you suck really bad, and you have for most of my life. You're an embarrassment. There were some great games yesterday, and college football Saturday was phenomenal. Miami goes down. Texas Tech goes down. Kenny Dillingham is a bad A, and the Oregon State Beavers won their first game. I got really nervous when I checked the score at halftime, and it was 13-10 Lafayette, and I was like, uh-oh.
You weren't the only one, Chad.
But they stormed back and got the victory. Good for them. Good for them. Trent Brady's like, dang it, man. You could at least let me hold on for one more week and taste victory or something. All right, we'll keep things rolling. We got tickets to give away coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Chris Burkhart's going to stop by and join me in studio for the 5 o'clock hour, and you are welcome to call. And Mitch in New Jersey, I was told that you got run from Rich and Cavino and Rich. If that's true, you always are welcome on my show. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. I didn't hear it, but my guess is, based on what I know of you, a lot of mumbling about various things, and they just couldn't understand, like I can't understand, just because I don't have the dialect down the way Travis does. 503-248-0620. Big thanks to Sean Hike, and you got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Game 7, Mariners and Blue Jays coming up tonight just after 5 o'clock on Fox. The Blue Jays are a small favorite. Gilbert and Bieber, the pitching matchup. And it really is a coin toss type of a game. I think a lot of people would just assume that the Blue Jays being at home would have the inherent advantage, but that's not the case. I think over the last 59 Game 7s, I think the home team has won 30 and the road team's 29. And I think the road team's won 7 of the last 8. So being at home doesn't guarantee anything. After watching the Mariners in this series, I think it comes back to what I said before Game 5. They're going to need good pitching, and not just from their starter, but from anyone that comes into the game. That's pretty obvious. You got to pitch well to win a Game 7, especially on the road. But most importantly, they were able to get some great defense in Game 5 and didn't make any big errors. But we saw some of the mistakes pop up again last night. The Mariners, to me, looked like they played tight. You know, like their sphincter was just a little bit tight. They got to be a little more relaxed tonight. I know you got to be intense and focused for a Game 7, but they looked tight, and they made some mistakes. Base running errors, miscues, including Cal on that wild throw to third. They've got to play a clean baseball game to get the win. And if they play a clean game and get good pitching, they're going to be fine. I mean, there are certain guys at the plate right now I don't trust worth a darn. Julio right now, swinging wildly. He's swinging out of his ass every time he goes up to the plate. It's like, Julio, what are you doing? When you're pressing and trying to hit home runs, bad things are going to happen. It's like when you play golf. Does anything good come from, I'm going to swing as hard as I possibly can? No, not unless you're Bryson. So Julio at the plate right now is a disaster. Cal Raleigh last night was a disaster, but forgivable based on his Game 5 heroics. J.P. Crawford right now, don't trust him at the plate. Really do love what Naylor's doing right now. He has been on a heater. Love Naylor. Suarez had been ice cold until he hit that grand slam. So they're going to need guys to step up and get it done. Yeah, Suarez wasn't exactly good with the glove last night either. Come on, Suarez. Come on, Gino. Don't be worthless tonight, Gino. Can you do something, please? And then the bottom of the order, too. Might be nice if Canzone or Rivas do something, but they need their guys to step up. Arozarena, are you playing right now? He's another guy, too. He and Julio are really hard to watch at the plate right now. Arozarena's swinging like he has no idea what's coming at him, and Julio's just trying to hit home runs. Settle down, boys. So there you have it. That's probably what it's going to be. It's going to be a grip session. I mean, it's going to be the ultimate gripper. You know it, and I know it. Every pitch, every defensive play, I mean, you got to be on top of your game. That's all. And if they do that, they're going to have a chance to win. They're good enough to go in there and get this victory tonight. There's no question about it. So I can't wait. I'm pumped. And who was it that was particularly bad last night? Was it Brash? He makes me nervous. I don't know. He did not look like he was in a good rhythm last night. I think Smoltz, Smoltz comments on everything. Hey, Smoltz, I know you're trying to be Tony Romo, but can you just settle down a little bit too? I've watched too many of these games. I'm annoyed at the announcers now. Joe Davis isn't exactly Joe Buck, and John Smoltz is doing his best Tony Romo up there. It's like, settle down, boys. So Brash was terrible. I don't know what he was doing, but he looked rushed. He didn't look comfortable. And he didn't look like he wanted to be out there. So, anywho, yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait. They're one game away from doing something that we never thought would be even remotely possible. One win away from a World Series. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because the Dodgers are just sitting there waiting with their billion-dollar lineup with Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. And that game by Ohtani was just an all-timer. 3 home runs, 1 out of Dodger Stadium. And then after that, he had 10 strikeouts. And that's an elite club. I think it's Willie Stargell. I think he did it twice. Mike Piazza hit one of my favorite home runs of all time with John Miller on the call. That one's hit a mile. A majestic shot. Mark McGuire did it. and now Shohei Ohtani. It's amazing. 10 strikeouts, 3 homers, and 1 just out of the park. He's so good. I don't even think we appreciate Ohtani the way that we should. It's crazy. He is crazy good. So the Dodgers are going to be tough for either team. If Toronto wins, I believe they would have home field. If the Mariners win, the Dodgers would get home field advantage. Not that that matters, but that's where we stand. So I like the Mariners' chances tonight, but I am concerned about the pitching and the defensive miscues we've seen at times in this series. You got to be tight. You got to be focused. You got to be tight. And heck, the Blue Jays, we know the Mariners haven't been to a World Series. They haven't been to one since 93. That was the year I graduated high school, for crying out loud. So both fan bases are starving for something big time. And we'll see if the Mariners can get it done tonight. It would be nice to see Cal Raleigh have a Cal Raleigh type of a game where he makes some big plays, maybe launches a home run or two, just something awesome like that. Wow. And we have a Monday Night Football doubleheader. I like the Lions to defeat the Bucks and cover, and I like the Houston Texans +3 or 3.5, depending on what you get it at. I think from what I heard, Seattle is the most public side in the NFL this weekend. That's not a good place to be. Not that the public loses all of the time, but you probably don't want to be siding with the public that often. So I like the Texans and the Detroit Lions. But, I mean, think about it. What an epic sports night. Game 7, Mariners, Blue Jays, Monday Night Football doubleheader, and it's coming off a wild weekend of sports. Wild weekend. Just think about what went down in the top 25. I'll save that for the top. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number where you can reach me. Chris Burkhart's going to stop by and join me in studio for the 5 o'clock hour. And we have something very nice to give away. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Adam Sandler, or not, but he's going to be at Moda Center. And I've got tickets to see Adam Sandler, so we'll give those away coming up at 4:20. So listen to me for your chance to win. And like I've told you, I'm a man of the people. I'm here to take care of you. I aim to please. 503-248-0620. Chris Burkhardt in studio at 5. Courtside Monday at 6. And Adam Sandler tickets coming up at 4:20 here on the Rip City Drive. All right, what's up, my friends? It's now 4 o'clock. Chad here. Game 7 tonight, Mariners at the Blue Jays. That first pitch coming up at 5:10 on Fox. The Blue Jays are a short favorite. Kirby and Bieber, your pitching matchup. Mariners trying to reach the World Series for the first time, while the Blue Jays are trying to make a return for their first time since '93. The Trailblazers got some big news ahead of Wednesday's season opener. They agreed to extensions with Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharp. Sharp got 4 years and $90 million. Kamara got 4 years and $82. The Blazers open up their season Wednesday as they take on the Minnesota Timberwolves at Moda. Tip at 7. Our coverage will start with the Rip City Drive live from Moda Center at 3. Every Trailblazers game can be heard streaming on our free iHeartRadio app. The top 5 in college football the same after a wild Saturday on both sides. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Bama, and Georgia. Oregon is ranked 6th in both the AP and the coaches poll. We have Adam Sandler tickets to give away. We'll do that coming up at 4:20. All right, Chris Burkhardt joining me in the studio coming up at 5. Have a lot of things to talk about with him. College football, the Blazers getting Kamara and Sharp extended. I'm still extended after that Bronco game yesterday. Coming up here in 20 minutes, we have tickets for Adam Sandler to give away. And I believe that today won't be the only day. I'm trying to think, have I seen Sandler live? Have you seen Sandler live? I don't think I have, but I like Adam Sandler. You're going to die, clown. All right, 503-248-0620. Trailblazer openers coming up on Wednesday. A couple of things you need to be reminded of. We are your best place for Trailblazers coverage in Portland. That's obvious. The tip-off against the Timberwolves is going to be at 7 o'clock. Blazer Game Day with Chris Burkhardt will start at 5 live from Spirit Mountain Casino, from Moda Center. Tip-off at 7. I'll have the network pregame show at 6, and I'll be live there with the Rip City Drive at 3 o'clock. And also, throughout the course of the week, and this is going to be going on throughout the entire basketball season, which is really nice, and I'm pretty excited about this, but we have added some new shows, and it's going to make for a great week. We have Courtside Monday with Chris Burkhardt, which is every Monday at 6, except for game days. We have the Trailblazer Insider Report with Sean Hyken, Tuesdays at 2, and it also replays on Wednesday. We're going to be carrying episodes of The Briefcase, Blazers Balcony with Brooke Olzendam and Casey Holdahl. Also, Section 113 podcast with me and Travis. And then we also have Blazers Wrap Up with Brenden Slaughter. And so we're going to have these shows throughout the course of the week, woven in between all of the Blazer games that you're going to hear on your home of the Blazers 620 Rip City Radio. Also, every single game streams live via our free iHeartRadio app. So if you're out bumping around, you can always pull up the app and be able to listen to Trailblazer games and hear Travis Demers on the call. So very excited about the start of basketball season, and it's all going to kick off on Wednesday with the tip-off against the Timberwolves at 7 o'clock. So you know what's coming up. We have the Trailblazers opener on Wednesday against Minnesota. We have Adam Sandler tickets to give away. We'll give away some tickets coming up at 4:20. Chris Burkhardt's going to join me in studio coming up at 5. And your telephone number to reach me direct is 503-248-0620. I mean, I'm still trying to come off the high, which was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Mariners got the grand slam from Suarez to take Game 5. Incredible. Following the home run from Cal Raleigh. Saturday, we saw a number of ridiculous games and an Oregon Duck response after the loss to Indiana. And yesterday, we saw a game where the Broncos put up 33 points in the fourth quarter against the Giants to win the game 33-32. after their kicker conveniently missed 2 extra points. Thank you. Much appreciated. But if you look at what happened in college football, it was one of those weekends where if you were in the top 10, you were at risk. Miami lost to Louisville on Friday night, 24-21. So number 2, Miami went from unbeaten to now 5-1. And as I mentioned before, Miami and Louisville have 2 of the top 5 defensive fronts in all of college football. Texas Tech would be another. But Miami went down. They just didn't have it, and the defensive game plan and the execution from Louisville was superb. And then on Saturday, you had some of the top teams excel, like Ohio State in their blowout win over Wisconsin, or Indiana just running roughshod over Michigan State. Texas A&M, which is now in the top 5 at number 3, survived a wild game 45-42 at Arkansas. Ole Miss was number 5 going into the weekend, but they took their first loss in a 43-35 loss to Georgia. And the impressive part here was Gunnar Stockton, the Bulldog quarterback, 289 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. So Georgia showing once again that they can score big if they need to win a game. They did it against Ole Miss this past Saturday. They did it with the road win at Tennessee. Alabama, big winners, 37-20 over Tennessee. Got a pick 6 right before halftime, which really changed the entire complexion of the game. But if you look at Alabama's resume right now, you would be hard-pressed to find a team that's got a better resume. And I mean that sincerely. They had the opening weekend loss at Florida State, 31-17. They responded with wins over Louisiana, Monroe, and Wisconsin. Both teams suck. But look at what they've done over the last 3 weeks. They go to Georgia and beat the Bulldogs 24-21 at a place where no one wins. Then they come back home and beat Vandy, a top 25 team, a really good team. Then they go on the road and beat Missouri, and then they come back home and beat Tennessee. 4 straight wins against 4 ranked opponents. Very impressive. So Kalen DeBoer went from not being the right fit and almost being run out of town to all of a sudden once again looking like he knows what he's doing. And he's got his offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, back this year, who's working with him at Alabama. I think what we're learning with Grubb is much like we were talking about last week with some of these young quarterbacks. It requires patience sometimes, but no one wants patience. Donors, boosters, sports fans, no one wants to be patient, and they want people to be fired instantly. But sometimes it does take time. So Alabama, very impressive over their last 4 wins, all against ranked opponents. After that, you look at Arizona State. They had just gotten ripped up by Utah, 42-10. There was questions going into the week against Texas Tech on whether or not Sam Leavitt would play. He was listed as probable and was able to come back from the foot injury. He played and was dynamite. He had over 300 yards passing and engineered a 2-minute drive. Texas Tech went into the game with the top-rated defensive line in football and one of the best, most dynamic offenses, and Arizona State shut them down. They completely shut them down. They were leading 19-7, had a couple of special team gaffes, which were awful. Texas Tech took the lead at 22-19, but Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson went right down the field in a 2-minute drill and got the job done. Game over. Huge win for Kenny Dillingham. Huge win for the Sun Devils, who are right in the mix to get back to the Big 12 title game. Oregon responded nicely. Dante Moore, 290, 15 of 20 passing, 4 touchdowns. Rutgers is awful, and Oregon destroyed them. But a great response coming off the beat down at the hands of Indiana. As I told you, Oregon's going to be fine. They're ranked 6th in both the coaches and the AP poll. Vandy took out of LSU. This is one of the best Vandy teams I've ever seen in my life. Georgia Tech remains unbeaten, winning at Duke. They're 7-0. Notre Dame outscores USC 34-24. A good performance for Jordan Mayava, but Notre Dame just too much with the ground game. Love with 228 yards rushing and a score. And the problem with Notre Dame is I don't see too much resistance on the schedule. And if they finish out the year with 2 losses, they're going right back to the playoff. Oklahoma rebounded after that horrendous performance against Texas. They won at South Carolina. BYU delivered Utah their second conference loss, and the Cougars are now 7-0. And we're going to find out a lot more about their young quarterback, Bachmeier, and the BYU Cougars because the next 2 weeks, they are at Iowa State, and then they play a game at Texas Tech. But BYU, props to them. Kalani Sitake's a darn good football coach. I got nothing but mad respect for Sitake. I got nothing but mad respect for Kyle Whittingham. But, Kyle, how many years do we have to watch your offense having an inability to utilize the forward pass? You've told me before that you want to be able to throw the football, but yet you never are able to throw the football. It's brutal, my friend. Missouri beat Auburn. Hugh Freeze probably on the hot seat. Virginia somehow survived Washington State 22-20. So the Cougars, back-to-back weeks, they've lost games at Ole Miss that they nearly won, at Virginia that they nearly won. And then I don't know what's going on with Texas, but they're not right. They're 5-2. They beat Oklahoma. They embarrassed Oklahoma, actually. But their offense is not good. And we saw it once again in this game. They were dominated by Kentucky and still found a way to win it in overtime 16-13. Whatever Texas is, they're not a playoff team. I know that much. And there you have it. That's the wild and wacky weekend in college football. So I have no idea who the best team in the country is. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Bama. Based on resume, I would say Bama. I think you have 6, 7, or 8 teams that could make an argument. And that's what makes the playoff race this year so great because we don't have a clear-cut winner. I think Oregon is as good as anybody in the country. And Miami's in the same boat that Oregon was after what happened last week. This is a great part about the playoff expansion. You can lose a game and you're fine. You correct the wrongs. You get better. You improve. You continue to work and you move forward. That's what it's all about. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Adam Sandler is coming to town, and I've got tickets for him. So if you have interest in seeing Adam Sandler, all you have to do is listen to me for your chance to win. He is going to be at Moda on October 28th. That's coming up a week from tomorrow. So I'm going to take care of you next. We'll do Adam Sandler tickets next. All you have to do is listen to me for your chance to win. You're going to die, clown. I hate that clown. I hate that clown. All right, Adam Sandler tickets coming up next. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Chris Burkhardt joining me in studio at 5. And right now the Lions on top of the Bucs 7-0 early in the first quarter in Detroit, Monday Night Football. And the other game is Seattle, who's going to be hosting Houston. And we've got the Blue Jays and Mariners playing a Game 7 in less than an hour. Adam Sandler tickets coming up next. Chad Doing, you've got the Rip City Drive. And what can I say? I don't do the need to give sad secrets away. Yeah, the captain, Rich Patterson from the Trailblazers, informed me the other night when I was hanging out for that final preseason game in Studio C that he had just discovered Live from Daryl's House. He's like, it's really good. I'm like, yeah, where you been, bro? All right, Brendan Slaughter just dropped something on me that's ridiculous, and I want to talk with him about it. Lions on top of the Buccaneers 7-0. And they have the ball inside the Buccaneers 40 at the 35-yard line, 3rd down and 4. And Jared Goff under pressure, and it looks like he may have just turned it over. All right, so, Brendan, the Beavs obviously looking, searching for a new head coach after firing Trent Bray. And you just told me that there are rumors circling down there that there could be a potential reunion with Jonathan Smith.
It's not off the table. Like, you and I obviously talked last week. I kind of filled you in on the first list of candidates. And since then,
Jonathan Smith was not on the first
list. No, not at all. And since then, from a couple different sources, I've just heard that the potential momentum has some legs. And while, again, we're talking about a coach who hasn't even been fired yet at Michigan State, but should he be fired at Michigan State, I've heard there are some boosters that wouldn't be completely opposed to the idea. Now, I think our message boards at thebeaversedge.com might explode, Chad, but, just another day in a twist of an Oregon State coaching search. Everything from Ed Ogeron to Jonathan Smith and everything in between.
Yeah, but I haven't seen any rumors suggesting that the Spartan alums or supporters are wanting him gone.
Yeah, it's ratcheting up. Basically, what I equated it to, and you'll like this, Chad. Basically, I from what I was able to find on social media, one of the Chad Doings, the radio host there in Michigan State, for a couple weeks has kind of been banging the drum that Michigan State needs to move off from Jonathan Smith. Again, I don't know if it's all that likely, but you talk about the win now expectations, all these things. Not going to a bowl game last year was not it, and I think if they don't go to a bowl game this year, he might find himself on the way out, which, man, wouldn't that be a crazy turn of events? But if he gets let go, I expect there to at least be maybe some conversations had behind the scenes with agents and what have you, Chad.
Don't they play Michigan this coming weekend?
They do.
He took over the program in ruins, though.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, it's a tough spot, right? They were moving off Mel Tucker. I think they were kind of expecting Aiden Childs and maybe some of the Oregon State transfers he brought in to help them maybe be a little bit more competitive quickly. But, you talk about some games that were 50-50 that they lost this year. And I think, what we've heard and what we know, Chad, just from our own personal, experience with Jonathan, he's not necessarily the most rah-rah guy. He's not necessarily the biggest booster schmoozer, so to speak. And I've just heard that those things have, kind of been exemplified with Michigan State not winning much on the field. Again, winning cures all, right? If Jonathan was 8-4 last year, no one would care. But I think you're starting to find people in that Michigan State alumni base that are kind of starting to pick at it. And you just never know. We've kind of seen it go both ways, Chad.
That's interesting. Yeah, if he did come back to Oregon State, then all of the people who complained about him leaving would be licking his boots right away. I never had a problem with him leaving. I mean, he left a team that was not in a conference. I mean, it was a disaster. But I don't want to get into that. But interesting, something to think about. We'll keep an eye on Michigan and Michigan State this weekend, and we'll see what takes place. I guess if he were to become available and Oregon State reached out, I would like to know how that conversation goes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were, some rough waters in how he left, and I think the relationship he had with Scott Barnes, who's obviously going to be leading the search again. But if you're Oregon State, Chad, like you've actually seen and done this movie before. Mike Riley in 1998 goes 5-7, leaves to go be the head coach of the Chargers. Handful of years later, Dennis Erickson leaves, and Mike Riley wants to come back. So it's not even unheard of.
I know, but Jonathan Smith, I would like to think that if Michigan State parted ways with him, he could get a better job than Oregon State. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, the way
I can't imagine Jonathan Smith having to come crawling back to Corvallis because he can't locate another gig.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you there from a few things that I was hearing kind of yesterday, Twitter spaces and whatnot, was that, it may be a thing where, he may ultimately leave you again if he comes back. But maybe it's one of those things where after a tough 2 years in Michigan State, he needs to rehabilitate for a couple years and get his name back up high again. And, maybe as it turns out, and I was talking about this with a couple Beaver fans, how many Oregon State fans, Chad, would probably be okay if he came in and he said just right away, grass isn't greener. It is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm here. I'm back. And I bet you probably 85 to 90% of people would be like, okay, yeah, let's go.
Oh, yeah. They would jump on board in a heartbeat, especially after seeing the Trent Bray experiment.
Yeah, it was rough. And I think that's why you're hearing these Beaver fans that just 2 years ago, myself included, were maybe even a little, sad Cheerios, so to speak. And yeah.
Oh, you were butthurt. Yeah, you and a long list of people. It was insanity. Insanity. And I haven't forgiven you for that yet either, Brenden.
You haven't forgiven me.
All right. We have tickets to give away. October 28th at Moda Center, the one, the only Adam Sandler.
I wanna kiss you all over and over and again. I wanna kiss you all over. Dun, dun, dun. Till the night closes in. Till the night closes in. Hey, you know our breakfast?
So good. All right. Would you like to see Adam Sandler? If so, let me think here real quick. What was Jonathan Smith's number in college? 10?
9.
9. All right, caller 9 in honor of Jonathan Smith. Well, you'll get a pair of tickets for Adam Sandler. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Call now. Caller 9 gets a pair of tickets for Adam Sandler, October 28th at Moda Center.
I wanna kiss you all over and over and again.
Call now.
I wanna kiss you all over.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, till the night closes in. Till the night closes in. Hey, you know our breakfast?
No, I'm good. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Call now. Caller 9 gets a pair of tickets for Adam Sandler at Moda Center, and we'll have more tickets throughout the course of the week to give. So if you don't win today, you can always check back in with me tomorrow, 503-248-0620. All right, great stuff in the NFL yesterday. The Broncos, as I've talked about, 33 points in the fourth quarter, the most in franchise history, second most in NFL history in a fourth quarter to win that game 33-32. Bo Nix became the first player in NFL history with 2 touchdowns passing and 2 touchdowns rushing in the fourth quarter. Not to mention he converted on a pair of 2-point conversions, which teams never do, but yet they did it yesterday. And they got the win. The Broncos are now 5-2 on the top of the AFC West. It's one of the most incredible games I've ever seen, and yet I was frustrated because it's like they had no business winning that game. But then again, they had no business getting ripped off by the officials in that Indy game with that stupid leverage call. So it all balances itself out. What an incredible game that was. And I've got to give props to Kyle Shanahan, who continues to find ways to win with a team that's just been shredded by injuries. They out-muscled and outlasted the Atlanta Falcons last night. I continue to be thoroughly impressed with Kyle Shanahan. Big fan and believe in him. Elsewhere, Rams embarrassed the Jaguars 35-7 in London. The Chicago Bears, they weren't great, but they beat the Saints, who are a pesky football team. DeAndre Swift with 124 yards rushing. Olave had a nice game with a couple of scores. Just a good game. And the Bears are finding ways to win. They're discovering their identity, which is running the football and putting Caleb in a position where he doesn't have to do it all. The Browns embarrassed the Dolphins 31-6. And now you have to think that Mike McDaniel's on the clock. How's that guy still got a job? The Dolphins are an embarrassment. They're right up there with the Jets as worst team in football. Mike Vrabel got revenge on the Titans, 31-13. Not sure why the Titans got rid of Vrabel, but that was a mistake. And the Patriots are playing darn good football atop the division at 5-2. The Kansas City Chiefs are officially back. They blitzed the Raiders 31-0. Patrick Mahomes with 3 touchdowns. And they've got Rashee Rice back now. The Chiefs look like the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Raiders look like the Raiders. They suck. The Raiders are a bad football team. Geno Smith is a bad quarterback, and they just can't figure it out. It's going to take some time for Pete Carroll to get things going in the right direction there. The Eagles bounce back after a couple of rough losses to the Broncos and Giants as they top the Vikings 28-22. Jalen Hurts had over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Very impressive. The Panthers topped the Jets in New York 13-6. The Jets are awful. Justin Fields benched in that game. The Chargers got walloped by the Colts, who are one of the most impressive stories and teams in football right now at 6-1. Daniel Jones can do no wrong, and the Colts offense is a legit threat between their running game and Daniel Jones. It's unbelievable. But Jonathan Taylor is legit, and Daniel Jones is playing as well as anybody in football right now. And Justin Herbert, 420 yards passing in the loss, had a couple of brutal picks in that game. The Cowboys continuing to get MVP play from Dak Prescott. They put up 44 on the Commanders and win it by 20. And Dak Prescott, 21 of 30, 3 touchdowns, 264. Say what you want about the Cowboys. Say what you want about Jerry Jones, but Dak Prescott's playing like an MVP. And I like Dak. He's a good dude. Happy to see him playing well. And by the way, Brian Schottenheimer, no one liked the hire. I said that, with Brian Schottenheimer, much like Pete Carroll at USC, sometimes the best hire is not always the first guy you go after. I like Brian Schottenheimer, and I'm happy to see him having success. The Cowboys at 3-3-1. Coming off a big-time win over the Commanders, 44-22. Packers topped the Cards down in Zona, 27-23. They get the win, and they improve to 4-1-1. But Green Bay just doesn't look right. The offense is a miss. They're still trying to figure some things out. But a great weekend in football. And we'll see how things shake out tonight. Lions continuing to lead the Bucs right now, 7-0. They're late first quarter, and Detroit once again on the move with the ball deep in Buccaneer territory. They're just a different team on that track indoors with their speed and their playmakers. And when they get the run game going and they get the play action working with Goff, they're tough. And they've got great speed. I'm just a big believer in Dan Campbell. He might be crazy with the 4th down calls sometimes, but man, he's good. And Jared Goff, so accurate with the football. He just had a dump-off pass to Gibbs that was perfectly placed where Gibbs just grabbed it and turned upfield. Very impressive. So I don't know what to make of the NFL. It's just week to week, it's wild. And that's exactly what the NFL wants. They want parity, and that's exactly what you've got. So if we look at the standings right now, Patriots lead the East at 5-2, and the Bills right behind them at 4-2, and both the Dolphins and Jets are playing for draft picks right now. Horrible football from both those squads. And Aaron Glenn is trying to do what's really hard to do, and that's get fired in your first year. The Steelers, coming off the loss to the Bengals and Cincy, lead the AFC North at 4-2. The Bengals at 3-4, the Browns at 2-5, and the Ravens at 1-5. Normally, I would say that at 1-5, you're dead, but the Ravens are going to get Lamar back next week. If they can shore some things up defensively, they might be able to get back in that race. The Colts are in full control of the South. They're 6-1. The Jags are 4-3. And the Texans are still trying to fight their way back into it, playing at Seattle tonight. They sit at 2-3. And the Titans are dead. They're right up there with the Jets and Dolphins, 1-6, one of the worst teams in football. And they've already fired their head coach, Brian Callahan, who was a buffoon. AFC West, tough. Broncos at 5-2. Chargers and Chiefs at 4-3. And the Raiders playing for draft picks at 2-5. In the NFC East, the Eagles in full control at 5-2. Cowboys second at 3-1, followed by the Commanders at 3-4, and the Giants, they're 2-5, but they're in a different boat right now because they've made the shift to their young quarterback Jackson Dart. They've got Cam Scatterboo, so they're developing some of that young core, and they have a lot to be excited about. Tampa Bay in control of the South at 5-1. Carolina has pieced together 3 straight wins. They're 4-3. Falcons are at 3-3, and the Saints right there with the Jets, the Raiders, the worst teams in football, 1-6. But they've competed and have been very pesky. And then the NFC West is wild. If Seattle wins tonight and beats Texas, you'll have 3 teams at 5-2 in the NFC West. So the NFC West and the AFC West, the 2 most competitive divisions in all of football right now. And I just saw this the other day. Which division in football has the most Super Bowl trophies? It's the NFC East. 503-248-0620. So there you have it. But the Bronco game yesterday, I was trying to think back, like, what have I seen that would match that? John Elway had a game in 92. They were taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Denver. They were down 19-6 past the midway point of the fourth quarter, and Elway scored 2 touchdowns to win the game 20-19. That was remarkable, but what the Broncos did yesterday was truly ridiculous. They were down 19-0 to open up the fourth. The Broncos were able to go down and get a touchdown and convert on the 2-point conversion. It's 19-8. So they still have some life at that point, but the Giants then get that tip drill touchdown and go up 26-8. Game over, right? Well, the Broncos go back down the field, convert on a 4th and 2 thanks to a PI. They score a touchdown and get another 2-point conversion. It's a 10-point game with less than 6 minutes to play. And then the Giants turn it over. A interception thrown by Jackson Dart sets the Denver Broncos up inside the Giants' 20. They score again, and all of a sudden they're down by 3. Their defense gets a 3-and-out. Jackson Dart misses a throw on 3rd down. Denver gets the ball, goes back down the field, and Bo Nix runs it in for another score. And they're up 30-26. The Giants, inside of 2 minutes, go down the field and score with 37 seconds on the clock. Miss the extra point. They're up 32-30. When the Broncos, after the kick return, they have 33 seconds on the clock and no timeouts at about their 25. They get a long pass to Marvin Mims. They get an offsides penalty that gives them another 5. And they get a big completion down the sideline to Cortland Sutton. And the Broncos kick a game-winning field goal. I mean, it's insanity. And what's crazy now about the NFL, especially with the kick rules and the way these kickers have like bionic Terminator-type legs, you need like 1 or 2 plays to get in field goal range now, or at least to give you a chance. It's unreal how far these guys can kick. But I knew when the Broncos completed the second pass and you're kicking a 37-yarder, game over. And I feel bad for the Giants. They had this guy in, this Irish kicker, who was filling in for, I think, Gano, who was injured, and he misses 2 extra points. It's the first time a kicker has missed 2 extra points in the game and their team loses by 1. That's not a club you want to be a part of right there. Unbelievable. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We'll come back. Chris Burkhart's going to join me in the studio at the 5 o'clock hour. Blazers open up their season on Wednesday, tip at 7 against Minnesota. You can hear it right here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. And we will have more Adam Sandler tickets to give away this week. And Alex Brink, former Coug, going to join the show tomorrow. What? I just saw this Denver Broncos linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who they brought in as a free agent from San Francisco during the summertime, suspended for one game by the NFL for unsportsmanlike conduct toward a referee following Sunday's game against the New York Giants. According to the NFL's statement, Dre Greenlaw chased after referee Brad Allen and verbally threatened him as he tried to leave the field. You got to be kidding me. I did not know this, but apparently, according to Alex Wilcox, he tweeted out a video and said, something caught my eye from Lutz's game-winning kick yesterday. After the play, Dre Greenlaw runs after the ref, yelling at him, and the ref actually throws a flag. It was after the play, and the game was over, so I don't know what happens. Just a fine for Greenlaw or something more? Yeah, something more. He got suspended for a freaking game. The NFL said that Greenlaw violated Rule 12, Section 3, Article 1B, whatever the heck that is, which prohibits the use of abusive, threatening, or insulting language or gestures to opponents, teammates, and officials or representatives of the league. So basically, this guy went Rasheed Wallace. That's pretty much what happened. He went Rasheed Wallace. Who was that? Tim Donaghy? And we've had Donaghy on before and talked to him about it. He said he was legitimately scared for his life when Sheed tracked him down in the docking area right outside Moda Center on the backside of the building. Like, Rasheed wanted to throw with the guy. Can you imagine being like a normal guy and having a professional athlete wanting to get a piece of you? That's unfortunate. Come on, Dre, be better. I can understand why you might want to track down an official and yell at them and then threaten them after that freaking pass interference call on the Broncos. That was just ridiculously bad. They never throw it in that spot, and yet the flag flew. And they gave the Giants the ball at the 2-yard line. Sean Payton was so incensed that he ran out onto the field all the way down by the goal line to yell at the officials. He also got a flag. And they penalized him half the distance to the goal. The best place to walk out on the field and start telling the officials they suck is when the ball's already at the 2. And it gave the ball to the Giants at the 1. And actually, in retrospect, the penalty probably saved the Broncos and helped them win the game. Because if the Giants are at the 2, Jackson Dart doesn't get in on the touchdown run, and the clock continues to tick, tick, tick. The only thing that saved Denver was that the Giants scored on the first play. And there were still 37 seconds on the clock, which allowed them to have enough time to run 2 plays, 2 completions, game over. But the worst part for Greenlaw is, like, that was his first game that he played in this year because he's been out dealing with like a hamstring or, I don't know, like a thigh or something. So he comes back, he plays, and now he's going to be booted for the Dallas game. That's not a good look. It says here in the report, if he does not appeal, the suspension is upheld. He would sit out of the Broncos' practices this week and Sunday's home game against the Cowboys. The suspension would also cost him a game check in the amount of $192,778. Sunday marked Greenlaw's first game with Denver after he signed a 3-year, $31.5 million contract in March. He did not play in the preseason or the first 6 games of the regular season. All right, there you go. It's pretty simple. There are certain things in life. I had Tony in Boring. He was like blowing up my phone. He's been doing this over the last couple of weeks. He's really upset with the way they're calling roughing the passer in the NFL. And I'm like, yeah, it's not good. But the bottom line is we all know it. And the players know it too. If you do anything that's remotely questionable on a quarterback, they're throwing a flag. It's the one thing they're really consistent on. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying you know it's coming out. They're going to throw the flag. Boom, you're done. It's going to happen. You cannot track down an official and start threatening them. The league's not going to go for that. You just can't do it. You got to keep your dome. I know you're emotional after a game like that. I like what Peyton said, too. Don't let the euphoria of this win cloud your judgment on what needs to be done tomorrow to correct the things that were wrong. And that's the way it should be coached. Same thing with Kenny Dillingham after that near disaster against Texas Tech, where you're up 19-7, but your special teams goes right into the tank, and before you know it, Texas Tech has a lead in a situation where they never should have had the lead. Fortunately for the Devils, they won the game, but Dillingham's like unacceptable. Atrocious special teams that we will be addressing. You know that old saying, more games are lost than are won? It's 100% true. The Giants lost that game yesterday against the Broncos. And there's teams that do that each and every week. It's almost unavoidable. All right, the Seahawks game is coming up here just past the top of the hour. They're taking on the Houston Texans. Should be a very good defensive battle. Both teams very strong up front defensively. Could be a lower scoring type game. So that's going to be a good one. And right now you've got the Lions who continue to lead 7-0 on the Buccaneers with 10:08 to play in the first half. And then just after 5, we're getting ready for the Game 7 grip. The grip session, which will be the Mariners and Blue Jays. Now, before the series, Alex Rodriguez predicted the Mariners would win Game 1 and Game 7 and go to the World Series. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing if A-Rod predicts that. But I do know that I like him, Big Papi, and Derek Jeter together on that Fox baseball coverage. It's not as good as the NBA on TNT. I mean, like, that's a great show with Chuck and Shaq and Kenny and Ernie, but they do a really good job with their baseball coverage. It's going to be good. And the Dodgers are just sitting back and waiting. But for the Mariners tonight, it's very simple. You need good pitching, and they've got to clean up their errors. Base running mistakes, defensive mistakes, they cannot have those tonight. And they need to be a little more patient at the plate. J.P. Crawford struggling. Julio swinging out of his ass. Arozarena lost at the plate. Like, they need some of these guys to step up and come through. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. When we come back, Chris Burkhardt, my man, going to join me in studio, and we'll talk about everything under the sun, including the Blazers locking up Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharpe on what would appear to be very team-friendly deals. Season opener for the Blazers coming up Wednesday at 7 against the Timberwolves. Our coverage will start with the Rip City Drive live from Moda at 3. And you can always listen via our free iHeartRadio app and stream every single Trailblazer game. All right, 5 o'clock. We're just a couple of moments away from Game 7, Mariners and Blue Jays from Toronto. It's going to be on Fox. The Blue Jays are a short favorite. Kirby and Bieber, the pitching matchup. And as you all know, the Mariners trying to get to their first ever World Series. The Trailblazers were able to lock up two key pieces, Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharp. Sharp gets 4 years, $90 million. Camara, 4 years, $82 million. The Blazers going to open up their season Wednesday. They'll host Minnesota, tip-off at 7. Our coverage will start with the Rip City Drive live from Mode at 3. Blazers game day with Chris Burkhardt at 5, tip-off at 7. And you can listen live to every Trailblazer game streaming on our free iHeartRadio app. Oregon is ranked 6th in both polls after Saturday's blowout win over Rutgers. Chris Burkhardt going to join me in studio for the 5 o'clock hour here on the Rip City Drive.
Dobbins a block to the end zone, deflected, and did Franklin get it on the ricochet? Touchdown, Denver. Knicks for 2. Crab Sutton in front of Belton. And 2 more on the board. 19-8 is the score. Scattered with the back, 3rd and 17. And he'll cut a pass, caught on the ricochet. It's grabbed here by the galloping Johnson. He'll be chased to the plate by Barron. Did he get in? He did. Touchdown! 2nd down and goal. Fake handoff. Here comes Knicks in pursuit. Thibodeau getting a block. And he'll get inside the pylon. That is a touchdown. Knicks with the block by Bidet to the end zone. Caught for 2. And grabbed by Franklin.
Denver's not stacked in at the line of scrimmage.
It's a 3rd and 5. They come up the middle. Heavy pressure in the third. Intercepted. It's picked off by Sternad. He breaks the tackle. Breaks another. Now inside the 20. Oh, disaster. What a play. Harvey the back. Knicks chased by Thibodeau. Backpedaling. Touchdown. Harvey. And the Broncos are back in business. And cash in on the interception of Dart. Dart on 3rd down and 8. Boy, they're crowding that line. Here they come. They bring 5. Dart to the air. No! To Robinson. McMillan the coverage. 4th down and 8. Knicks to the air. Bowles with the block. Knicks going long. And caught by Mims. 1st down. Giants have led the entire game. Knicks underneath. Ingram. Out of bounds. Oh, he stayed in and finally brought down by Belton. It's a catch and run. He's inside the 20. Knicks will take it himself on 1st and 10. Blocked by Bowles. Touchdown, Denver. The Broncos have their first lead today. Dart.
Barely get it.
Here they come. Here he goes, and it is bobbled and caught. Robinson reels it in, but
I think he's got it. I think he did.
McMillan was right there, and they give him the 1st down.
Is that Peyton all the way out with the officials? He's down at the 2-yard line out on the field. He's got to be careful not to get a flag.
And he just got a flag. 1st and goal. Dart will run it himself and dives.
Oh, they're saying he's short.
Short inside the 1.
I don't know. I don't think his knee ever went down. That looks like a touchdown.
It looks like a touchdown is right. He missed earlier. And
he missed again.
No! He missed that one again. 1st and 10 from their 23. And no timeouts. Knicks. Long down the middle and caught
it
at the 48-yard line and grabbed by Mims. Knicks. And caught by Sutton. Got it on the side. Newman was there. Traboni the snap. Crawshaw, the rookie, will hold it. Will Lutz. 39-yard field goal for the win. He got it. Denver has won.
You know, Chris, my favorite part is when I look up the box score and you look at the line score in the game yesterday. For the Broncos, 0-0-0-33. 4th quarter points, 33. That is, I've seen some wild football games in my time, but that one right up there is near the top. I can't believe it. I went back and watched it twice last night on the Quick View on NFL Sunday Ticket, and I'm still blown away. Like, I still cannot believe. And it's amazing because there were so many little things that if one thing goes against them in that entire pathway, they lose the game. And yet everything went their way in that fourth quarter. It's unreal.
Yeah, that's a game that for sure in your history of being a Bronco fan, you can say that you've never seen anything like that. But also, that's why I love football. And you just never give up. As Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over. Because there's a lot of people who left that stadium early. And Bo Nix even said, yeah, I feel sorry for the ones who didn't get to see it.
Oh, my goodness. That was awesome. That was a great experience. I mean, really, this weekend, a perfect example of why we love sports and what you were just talking about. Because we got the Mariners victory in Game 5. Improbable, because they got a home run from Cal Ra in the 8th to tie it. And then you get Suarez, who had been ice cold, to hit a grand slam. So they go back to Toronto with the lead. Now we have a Game 7 tonight. And then you had a lot of teams, in that top 10, that top 25 who went down over the weekend. Wild. And then we saw what we saw yesterday in the NFL with a lot of great finishes. Like, it's just too much. It's like, I love it, man. It's why we love sports so much.
I know. This is October into November when we got the college football and wrapping up baseball, NBA about to start, NFL. Yeah. Like, this is a sport fans' dream time of year.
And you and I talked about this last week. Perfect response by Oregon coming off the loss to Indiana. They went out and took on a team that they were superior to, and they just completely crushed them. I mean, it was over in a nanosecond. After they got that early field goal, the Ducks just kicked it into high gear and dominated the entire football game from start to finish. Impressive.
And that's what I said last week. It wasn't about the loss. It was about how you respond to that loss. You look at what Penn State did with James Franklin. They took that loss and then they went to UCLA and lost a game they probably shouldn't have lost on paper.
Yeah.
They are a good team, and they just didn't respond the next week. Dan Lanning and company absolutely responded in a big way.
And that's what it's all about. Look at Bama. They lose that opening week game to Florida State. Everyone piles on, and now you go to Georgia, get the win. You're able to get a win over Vandy. You go to Missouri and get the win, and now you come back home and beat Tennessee. 4 straight ranked opponents, you get wins, and now it looks like their head coach suddenly remembered how to coach football again, right?
Yeah, I think this gets lost too much in the sport of football, but it's why I love the sport of football. Football is truly a week-to-week game. It changes every single week because the schemes are different. You're playing a power run team versus an air it out team and all this stuff. Things change constantly, and I don't think we should always just totally lean on, a team like Alabama loses early, their season's washed. No, it's not. And on the other side of that, just because Florida State looked good for 2 games doesn't mean that they're a national championship contender, because the wheels have fallen off that puppy. Football is a week-to-week game, man.
It is week to week. And look at the Kansas City Chiefs now. Early in the year, after about 3 weeks, people were ready to, bury them. They're done. And now look at them. They look like one of the best teams in football, if not the best. They got their players back. They're healthy. And now the offense looks like it's humming. And how about the 49ers? You called me. We were talking earlier today. I mean, Kyle Shanahan has done a remarkable job during his tenure with the 49ers of somehow piecing together a winning operation when he continues to get elite players lost for the season due to injury. It's incredible to me that he continues to find a way to manufacture wins. And Atlanta was a team that came in last night playing good football. And yet the 49ers were the more physical team. They did a good job of getting Christian McCaffrey involved, and Mac Jones has shown his toughness over the last month plus as he continues to run that Shanahan offense the right way. Impressive.
I mean, you're sitting here atop the division, 3 wins in the division, all without your starting quarterback, the best linebacker in the game, your starting defensive end who's up there as one of the best in the game.
One of the best tight ends in the game.
Yeah, one of the best tight ends in the game. No receiving core whatsoever because everybody's hurt. And you go out there and you are just finding ways to win these ball games. That's good coaching. It's being prepared. Mac Jones has been phenomenal, plug and play. There's probably a lot of people down in the Bay going, should we have paid Brock Purdy all that money? Because Mac looks pretty good and it's a whole lot cheaper. But I still like Brock. But the point is, man, Kyle gets the most out of that roster every single year. A really, really good coach. Everyone likes to judge someone on how many Super Bowl wins they have or their successes there. And, yeah, he doesn't have those wins. He's got them there and lost those games. But, man, That's a coach that I want on my team for a long time.
I think the number is $287 million in guaranteed money that the 49ers have on the shelf and not on the field right now. And Brock Purdy in the linebacker.
Fred Warner.
And their tight end. I think those three account for $287 million in guaranteed money. Not available.
That's
not
dirty.
to mention, that doesn't include Joey Bosa.
Yeah. I mean, the names, Bosa, Warner, and Kittle.
Is it Joey or Nick? Which Nick Bosa. I got it wrong. Nick Bosa.
Yeah. And you got those three. Those are three of the top names at their position.
That's what I'm talking about. Not to mention they don't have their receivers. Ayuk, you know?
Yeah, Ayuk is still coming back. Juwan Jennings has been hurt up and down throughout the season.
They've gotten great play over the last month from Bourne, too.
Bourne's been great. Getting him back in was good. And then, I mean, Purcell, I mean, it's just, hey, we got to rely on the wide receiver who's also injured, as it is. But the guy who got shot last year, like, it's pretty crazy what they've been able to do.
All right, first pitch just went down in Game 7. I'm really nervous for the Mariners tonight. I would imagine Mariner fans are nervous. I just hope that they get good pitching and they don't make the mistakes. They need good pitching and good defense. And right off the bat, Julio with a base hit. And it's going to be a double. Impressive. That's exactly what they needed. Some of their guys at the top of the order to step up and make some plays.
No,
huge.
They need that. They showed the stat earlier that he's 0-7 since being moved to the leadoff spot in this series in Game 5. He needed that hit. He's way too good to go on a stretch like that. He's going to bust loose here. And that's what the Mariners need. This series has been really, really interesting in the fact that it's just been hitting ups and hitting downs that have kind of doomed the Mariners. As for Toronto, if you leave any pitch over the plate, those bats are finding it. They have been so darn good offensively. And then, just pitching-wise, you got to find a way to strike these guys out. But hopefully Cal can get something going, and these Mariners can win this game.
And that'd be huge. Like yesterday, 3 straight innings ended with a double play. 3 consecutive innings, double play when they had, people in scoring position. That's brutal, man.
No, ending it on a double play hurts every single time. To do it multiple times, that's pain.
It is pain. All right, so we'll keep an eye on this game as things shake out. We're going to get into the Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharpe extensions. We'll do that coming up here in a few minutes. But I'm starting to get excited now for the season opener. I'm so locked into all these other sports that are going on, but I like this group the Blazers have, and I'm excited to see them play basketball together for the first time, especially with the addition of Jrue Holiday.
I've been getting texts from fans today. I'm excited. For the first time in a few years, I'm excited for opening night.
And you should be.
You absolutely should be. And I don't know if you all saw this, but our Sean Heiken did report today that both Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams were full participants at practice. Don't know the status for opening night, but a very encouraging sign for the roster.
We can't really rely upon Robert Williams because he hasn't been reliable to be in the lineup on a regular basis, but it would be very helpful if he could play. They can monitor his minutes, but they could really use some backup minutes from him after Klingon in that lineup because, I don't know how much they can depend on young Hansen to be able to be productive, right? And Klingon's going to have to play more minutes this year.
Yeah, and they need that backup spot to be clutch. They absolutely do. And
when Williams plays, he's terrific.
I think pound for pound, he might be the best center on the roster. And I say that as a guy who loves Donovan Klingon. I also think that Robert Williams knows his role as a backup center is pivotal, and he plays it well.
All right, we'll get into the extensions coming up next. No score, no outs with Julio on second and Cal Raleigh at the plate. We'll keep you up to date throughout the next hour on Game 7 as well. You got the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhart with me on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, the Mariners showing some early life. We're still in the top of the first. Josh Naylor, who's been on fire in this series, batting .429, going up to the plate, got an RBI single and scored Julio. Unfortunately, Cal struck out, but now 1 out, 1 on, and Jorge Polanco at the plate with a full count. And we'll see how things shake out. But a good start for the Mariners. Man, playoff baseball, Burkhart, and I know you're a big baseball guy too. The intensity on every single play is awesome. There's nothing like it. It's unique. Baseball is very unique when you get into the postseason play.
It is. You don't get those sold out. Oh, there's one of your double plays you talked about. Oh, maybe not. What happened there? This is why I don't do live play-by-play. It was like a ready-made double play. Next thing you know, the camera doesn't know what's going on. They only got one of them. I think they're looking for runner interference here. That was a interesting play there. They go off his dome. Let's see. Turns his head, and it went off his back. Oh, he left his feet, too. That's going to be an interesting call. But you don't get those sold-out stadiums, right? Those ballparks all year long when you have 160 games to play. So when the playoffs come around and you're in these tight series, you get those sellouts and just the pageantry of it. Baseball in the playoffs is special.
Now, what are they going to call that? Interference? He wasn't running out of the baseline, but he did leave his feet.
Right there, both feet off the ground, jumps up. I think if he slides down or just stays, I think there's – I don't know what the rule is in the book per se, but I think there's an argument for runner interference on that throw.
And, of course, Naylor could just be like, hey, man, I was trying to get the heck out of the way. You know?
Naylor's just saying, I'm just a big boy. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Interesting. All right, so drama in the top of the first up there in Toronto. Well, we got some unexpected big news yesterday. I knew, just based on, conversations that I'd heard around Motor Center, that this was a possibility, but I did not expect both to go down. Shaedon Sharp extended 4 years, $90 million, and Toumani Camara got 4 years and $82 million. Were you surprised that both guys got done before the start of the season?
A little bit. I would say more surprised about Toumani. I didn't know that one was going to come like it did. Shaedon Sharp, there was a lot of talk about if it would have made more sense to let him, bet on himself and then go into free agency as restricted free agent and all that. I like the fact that the front office says, no, we're not going to play games. We're going to get deals done with the guys that we want to keep. And I really do think these are two value deals if these guys continue to grow as we've seen. So, yeah, a little surprised, but I'm glad it happened.
Well, you get a situation now where two of the key players in that core are locked up. They are going to call a second out, so it's a double play with Naylor being called for interference there. So 1-0 Mariners as they head to the bottom of the first up in Toronto. And Naylor's not a dumb baseball player. He was probably like, F it.
Right.
Let's see if I can disturb the double play.
Yeah, I think he was trying to maybe distract him a little bit. I don't think he wanted to take a full-on throw to the back from that close. But, at least they got the run.
Well, let's take it player by player. I want to get your take on each. We'll start with Shaedon Sharp, 4 years, $90. Give me both sides, Blazers and Sharp, and what you think about the move.
I saw this deal, and I tweeted. I said the Blazers must be building on defense because this deal's a steal. I think it's an absolute steal. It's like $22.5 million average annual value, which it kind of, you can argue, is kind of the going rate for a starting guard in the NBA. So if he doesn't pan out to go be an all-star or what have you, you're paying him a starter's wage to be your starter. No harm. Now, if he goes out and he ends up being in the next few years an absolute stud, which a lot of us anticipate and hope, then you have a steal. I mean, a steal of a player. If he goes out there and starts averaging 25 points a game and can be the main go-to guy offensively, which he kind of showed during the preseason that he's ready to take that jump, then I think that 4 years, $100 million is a bargain.
All right. I agree. I think it's a bargain. And then for Sharp, what are the benefits for Sharp to do this deal now? You get guaranteed money and you don't have to worry about the future or the immediate future?
Well, if I'm in Shaedon Sharp's position, I like it. It's in a game where there's so much hanging in the balance. I mean, hey, I'm going to go bet on myself, and then I get injured and I don't play, and that bet didn't pay off. Now, it could pay off, and you can make a little bit more money, But right now you're in a good spot. Guess what? You're well off. You're taken care of. It's not like they underpaid you massively. I think they paid you pretty good to your worth. Now, if you end up popping off, then maybe you're playing better than your worth, and then your next contract is fat. But no, I think it makes sense to sign this and feel good about it. We're talking about a guy they drafted with nothing but upside who didn't play a single game of college basketball, and they're just like, we like his athleticism and his talent. Yeah, I think he bet on himself from the jump, and I like the fact that he took the pay.
Yeah, and he still gets $90 million fully guaranteed, life-changing money, and you take away the risk of injury, or if you were to have a poor season that could impact his value, you get, close or somewhat close to top dollar. And I think it works for both sides. So I'm really happy about that. Now, Toumani Camara, 4 years, 82. I love Toumani Camara. I know the team loves Toumani Camara. Let's look at it from the team perspective. What do you think about the deal for the Blazers?
Also a steal. That's value for a guy who was in the conversation last year for Defensive Player of the Year, who in his second year was second-team All-NBA defense, who has been your go-to ball stopper for 2 seasons, who went into the offseason last year. It's what I love about him. At the end of year 1, he said, I want to improve my shooting. I don't want to be a liability offensively. I don't want to be in a situation where we need a bucket and coach has to sub me out because he can't trust me to make those shots. And so he went to the lab all offseason, and last year, pretty darn good offensively. And I think he showed in the 2 preseason games he played that he's ready to go again. So he's getting better on that end, and he's already incredibly talented defensively. I like that deal. You look at what the Hawks gave Dyson Daniels. They gave him the 4-year, $100 million deal. And Dyson Daniels is a first-team All-NBA player. Finished second, I believe, in Defensive Player of the Year voting and Most Improved Player.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you get $20 million more for marginal benefit. I think it's a steal for Toumani.
What's great for Toumani or for the Blazers is that I love getting this guy locked up because, one, we know what he is defensively. Elite defender, one of the best in the game. Great on ball. He's improving offensively. I think his three-point shooting was just under 38% last year, so he's making improvement.
Yeah, he was 37.5.
But then also, and I don't like this because a lot of times it's overstated, but he is, of all the guys that I talked to on Media Day, they all mentioned him. Like, he's a great teammate. He's beloved on the squad by all the guys. They love the way he works. Teammates said that he's very approachable and will listen to input. Like, he's everything you want on a franchise. Like, he's not going to cause any ripples or waves. He's just going to work his ass off. And he's got the same mentality as Chauncey. He's perfect for them.
Everything from the jump with him has shown that he's going to do what it takes to make the team better. I mean, he talked about how it was obviously a learning curve playing more small forward when he came out of college, where he played a lot of the 5. I mean, he's not a 5 in the NBA, but it's a big difference to be a little more active offensively and do those things. And then just he has leadership. He's always willing to work. The teammates always talking about him. Those are the things you love from a guy. Absolutely love. He's a culture guy. You keep him around because he's a culture guy.
So think about their 3 best young players right now. Denny is locked up on a ridiculous team-friendly deal.
Yeah, hey, just real quick, fans were talking today in a chat, like, would you trade Denny and Jeremy Grant for Lowry Markkanen? Because the rumor is Utah wants to trade Lowry.
Hell no.
And I go, hey, statistically, if you look at it statistically, Denny is better than Lowry Markkanen was last year. But in 27-28, which will be the last year of Denny's contract, Denny will be making $11.8 million, while Lowry is making almost $50. This is the best value contract in the NBA right now, and the Blazers would be insane to trade it unless they were getting a massive star in return.
I agree. I think Denny is on the best deal in the NBA when you compare price with production. It's that simple. So the Blazers are in good working order now, and there's really no other order for business now. They've got everything locked up. They've got their entire squad ready for the season. Like, everything they need is right there. It's perfect.
I also think what's big here, Chad, is you wasted no time. So now you don't have to go into the offseason worrying about what your books look like.
That's right.
You are going to know what your books look like. You don't go into the offseason, okay, we got this and this to spend because we got to save money to just in case, Shaedon gets that big contract and we want to match it as a restricted free agent. No.
Yeah.
You lock 2 core pieces up, and now you go into next year's offseason with Dame ready to play and knowing exactly what you need to put around the rest of that roster to be in a really good spot to be competitive. So this is not only a great move for those two players, it's a great move for the franchise. And you ask, why did it make sense for Shaedon Sharpe to sign that deal? Well, look at Toumani for a second. He was a second-round pick. Second-round picks aren't guaranteed deals.
Yeah.
They can sign him to two-way contracts and get minimum money, and now he's a $20 million a year player. Pretty awesome if you're Toumani Camara.
Yeah, so Chris and I are on the same page. I think this is a win-win for both player and for the team. And I think Sean Highkin mentioned this to me when I talked to him earlier, Burkhart, that the Blazers next summer, they're going to be well underneath the luxury tax, so they're not going to have any they'll have flexibility to do moves if they want to do moves.
Yeah, which, it's part of the reason they did the wave of DeAndre Ayton, and people didn't like it because they didn't get anything in return. Their return was helping their books, and their books are going to be in a very good spot next year. And we talked about Denny's contract being valuable. Well, if Damian Lillard returns at even 75% of the Dame that we know, that's going to be a valuable contract too.
All right, update from Game 7 up in Toronto. Not a surprise, but Kirby off to a little bit of a shaky start. He walked Springer. He got an out, and he just gave up a base hit. So you have one out with runners on first and second, and the Mariners on top by a score of 1-0.
And he has been struggling with keeping the breaking pitches over the plate. Like, he floats them, and this Toronto lineup just crushes those pitches.
How long can you wait before you make a change? He can't. If Kirby doesn't turn it around right away, you've got to make a change.
Oh, absolutely. This is Game 7. You got to burn arms. You got starters that you can burn in these situations for long innings. When he did it previously in the series, you let him go because you didn't want to burn through the arms, and you figured you could bounce back. Like, if he struggles here through an inning, you might bring someone else out in inning 2 because you can't afford that.
Do either of these teams have a chance to take out the Dodgers?
That's a great question, and I think the answer to that is I think Toronto would have the better chance because they're hitting the ball well, and their pitching's been decent. I mean, again, the Dodgers are another team where you have to be spot on pitching every single night, or they're going to tear you apart. And the Mariners' pitching has just not been reliable throughout this playoff series.
Oh, by the way, we didn't even mention this. How about Ohtani going 10 strikeouts with 3 homers, 1 out of Dodger Stadium on Friday?
Shohei Ohtani's a freak. I saw a tweet.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I saw a tweet out there after that game because obviously there's such a large Latin population in Los Angeles, right? Said that there's going to be a lot of kids named Shohei Rodriguez at the end of in 9 months.
There will be. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. But that is, I watch him.
He's
and I
phenomenal.
just marvel at him.
I love him. He's one of my favorite baseball players ever to watch. Like, his mechanics when he's in the batter's box, just picture perfect.
Picture perfect. And then some of the pitchers, he had a sweeper. Some of the movement on his pitches on Friday were just off the chain. I was just like, what's this guy doing? So you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, put some respect on these Japanese baseball players. I loved them when they won the first World Baseball Classic. Ichiro was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Oh, my gosh. Kirk's at the plate, counts at 2-1, runners on first and second with 1 out. Kirby's gripping right now. He's going to – come on, man. Gosh dang it. 3-1's the count now. Make the change. You can't wait. Kirby is struggling.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go bases loaded here if he messes this up. And that fastball was, high. And he did it. I think, what he start? Game 3 or whatever. Yeah, he struggled. And, you can't waste time. If he's not getting it done, you got to go because this Toronto team, as we've seen, will put it on you quick.
Oh, he got a strike. Full count now. Okay. Yeah, this is getting interesting. They have to get out of this jam. I mean, these are the type of moments we talk about in a Game 7 that you need. You've got to find a way to be able to work out some of these jams.
Yeah. And he went 2 straight fastballs there. I don't know if he's trusting his off-speed stuff. We'll see what he goes here. I feel like he wants to throw that off-speed now. Oh, and he went fastball again.
Popped up, and it's out of play.
That's 3 straight 98-mile-an-hour 4 seams. Top of the zone.
Gosh dang it.
I just don't know after watching him pitch last time if he trusts his off-speed stuff right now. Because he's been hanging them, and Toronto's just been mashing them.
Well, I don't know what he trusts. I just know I don't trust him. He's already making me nervous.
And you're not even a Mariner fan. You're just
I know. It's like when you live in this region, you understand what it means to Mariner fans. It's a big deal. I want to see him get there.
And another 98er. That's 4 in a row. He's not even trying to change him.
He's already got 19 pitches up here in the bottom half of the first inning. This is insane.
Oh.
Yeah, even Brenden came over and got the remote. He changed the channel. He's like, "Oh, the Lions are hammering the Bucks right now. I'm going to watch Game 7."
You got to. You
need some new batteries in here, Chad. Can we work on that?
Yeah, let me get on that. Oh, he got him.
Got one by him.
He got
big.
him. Oh, was it? Yeah, he got him. Yep. Strikeout.
That's
2
huge.
outs. That's huge.
But that was 5 straight 98-mile-an-hour fastballs, though. He wasn't trying to change his eye level or get him off. He wasn't risking it. He was just going to his best pitch at the moment and relying on it. That's risky. That's risky.
It is risky. All right. I give him credit for that. The good thing is about he doesn't look nervous out there. He's just kind of like, yeah, I got this.
No, you can't be. No pitcher ever gets nervous. They never want the ball out of their hand.
Why do so many pitchers have porn stashes though? The creeper stash.
That's the comeback. You need the old Raleigh fingers, get a little twirl up in there. But pitchers are a little bit insane. Like Max Scherzer yelling at his manager because he wanted to say, I loved it. I loved that.
That reminded me of Mad Bum telling Bochy to get his ass back in the dugout. Like I love that kind of stuff, man. Like if you're a guy that's got crapola. A base hit up the middle. That's just classic.
Hey, you'll take 1-1. You'll take 1-1.
Oh, they only scored 1? Oh, because there's only runners on first and second.
Yeah, they didn't get the turnaround third, but no, pitchers are crazy. Kurt Schilling out there pitching with the bloody sock.
Yeah.
Which every single time I watch a Red Sox documentary, I crack up and kind of wish he were here right now. But I wonder if somewhere along the bloodline, Michael Shacker is related to Kurt Schilling. Because they look like they could be related.
They could be. Yeah, they could be. They absolutely could be. All right, 503-248-0620. We'll come back. Chris Burkhart's also got Courtside Monday coming up at 6. You can reach out to us if you want to jump on board. Scores tied up at 1. Bottom of the first in Toronto. 2 outs. Runners on the corner for the Jays. And we'll see if Kirby can get out of this little mess he's in right now. And the count right now on Clement is 0-1. So we'll keep you up to date. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Burkhart, the Mariners, after a shaky beginning for Kirby in the bottom half of the first, they have responded back-to-back base hits. And then I would say a pretty darn good execution on the bunt by J.P. Crawford. And now they have runners at second and third with one out.
Oh, it was a great bunt. Pulled Clement off third, so there was no chance of a play over there. Moved both runners over. Now we just need a big hit here.
All right, Rivas is at the plate. And a base hit would get the job done. But, heck, even a sac fly.
Yeah, just get sac fly would be wonderful. Single would be even better. Everyone wants to just jump to a home run. But you don't need that. You just need to make contact, get it through, and you're scoring a run.
7 through 9 hitters, 113 average. That's pretty good. They got to do better than that. Come on, man. This is the time. Let's do this. All right.
Best part about these playoff series, too, is like every single swing, every batter has that. This is my home run swing, and they're all trying to just park them, man.
They are because they know if they do it, they'll be etched in history, man. Oh, come on, Rivas, do something special here. Base hit. Oh,
that ain't special.
No, that was a horrific swing, strikeout. Gosh dang it. That was a horrible pitch, too.
Oh, it was gross. That was gross. I don't know why they chase some of these pitches. It's
Yeah. Come on, Rivas. Who's coming up? Which bum's coming up now? Canzone? Crapola. Gosh. All right, Lions on top of the Bucks, 14-0. The Seahawks game's not kicking off until 7? Damn. 7 o'clock kickoff on a Monday Night Football game. That's going to be a late night for the Seattle crowd.
No, I think that was a little bit. Maybe that was a favor from the NFL gods.
Crap. Yep. And there you go. Threat over. Great job. Great job, morons. Strikeout, ground out, inning over. 1-1 the score at the end of moving into the bottom half of the second. Whatever. Dude, it's just so frustrating. That happened to him multiple times last night. You leave runners on base, it comes back to bite you.
That'll be the story of the series. You cannot afford to do that. You got to take advantage when you have runners in scoring position. In that situation, too, runner on third and second, one out, you got to get at least one in.
All right, 5:51 left in the first half in Detroit. Lions 14-0 over the Bucks. Jared Goff, 11 of 13, 172 yards and a touchdown. And Gibbs, 10 carries, 106 yards and a score. That team in that dome on that turf, they're a problem.
That's hard to beat. That is hard to beat.
Let's see. Our quarterback is basically 95% completion percentage, and our running back's got over 10 yards a carry right now.
Filthy. That's filthy.
And St. Brown's a darn good receiver. 4 grabs, 79 yards and a score.
Yeah, but, your Broncos showed that, you can drop 30 in the fourth quarter and win. Doesn't matter what happens in the first 3 quarters anymore.
Dude, when the Giants scored that stupid ricochet touchdown to go up 26-8, I was just like double barrel. It's like whatever. It's like it's not your day. I still can't believe they did it. The play that turned it around, that gave them hope, was the interception when they got the pick on Dart, and it gave them the ball inside the 20. I knew once that happened, I was like, they got a chance now. So they get the touchdown. They're down by 3 at that point. I was like, okay, they can do this. And then they got the defensive stop.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I thought the double bird moment for me, not being a fan of either team, was that entire final New York drive. I thought that
I was infuriated.
The roughing the passer call was stupid. Like, I hate that. Like, if you're running up into the pocket towards the line, you got a defender crashing down on you. Defender's job is to tackle you. You throw it at a point where A, your body and your momentum goes towards the defender, and B, the defender has no time to adjust his trajectory and hits you. That's football. That's not roughing the passer. And then the PI call was a joke, too. I get tired of quarterbacks being bailed out by pass interference calls because they threw the ball terribly.
That was a bad call. You cannot throw that flag. Richard Sherman was incensed by the call.
The part that annoyed me is the referee right there in the corner of the end zone didn't throw the flag. It was the midfield official who threw it. You mean the guy that was literally 5 feet away from the play doesn't throw that flag, but you do from 25 yards away? That's stupid.
I was really pissed off when that flag came out. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Now, the problem is with the roughing the passer now in the NFL, they've basically put the defenders in a no-win scenario because you now know. I mean, I guess you just have to approach it like, dude, like anytime you go in there and you're going to be putting your hands on the quarterback, you're at risk of getting a flag.
Yeah.
And if you hit the guy too hard or if you put your body weight on him, like they've made it really tough to defend the quarterback.
Like the body weight thing's dumb too. That's a tackle. Like
I can't help it if I weigh more than the quarterback.
Right? I mean, they changed the rule after he did it, but like that's why Kenny Pickett got away with that fake slide when he was at Pitt, right? Because all the defenders let up as soon as he made the slide motion because they're like, oh, I can't touch him because I'm going to get called.
Well, and then what I hate, too, is that Patrick Mahomes, he'll take advantage of the rules. He'll bait guys into hammering him right on the sideline. And if they don't go to hit him, he'll duck under for another 5 or 6 yards. That's bullcrap, man.
It's annoying. It is terrible.
I think what you do is you just play the game the way you play the game, and you just deal with the flags when they come. You can't stop going after the quarterback. And some of those quarterbacks are big. Like, what do you do? What if you do that to Lamar? He's going to break free and take off for another 40 yards downfield.
Doing that to, prime Cam Newton, like who's built like a linebacker.
Dude, and this is true. Like if Montana or John Elway would have played in today's era, they could have played for 20 plus years. But those two guys, that was back when you could have 2 or 3 steps and tee off on the guy and get blasted into tomorrow.
Because Troy Aikman and Steve Young probably each got 8 concussions per game.
Like guys teeing off on them.
Yeah.
After they had gotten rid of the football.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I get wanting to protect him, and I don't think you should be teed off as soon as you let go of the ball. But those situations like that dart one, when you are a quarterback on the run going towards the defender who's coming towards you, you are closing space so quickly that defender is not going to avoid that hit at any chance.
All right, what do you got coming up on Courtside Monday, which kicks off at 6 o'clock?
Well, obviously, we're going to talk about these fat new extensions that Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharpe got. We're going to look ahead to this season that does start on Wednesday. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of a dive on this roster, kind of what do I expect out of every player, who's going to be my preseason pick for team MVP, team most improved, all that. Just kind of get our bearings on what this team will look like. I cannot wait. I am so excited for Wednesday.
I'm pumped to be out there. Don't forget, you can catch the herd with Colin Cowherd. It's every weekday, 9 to noon here on 620 Rip City Radio. Colin's unique take on sports world and unprecedented storytelling ability entertains audiences around the country. Join the herd on Rip City Radio, and you can do it on our free iHeartRadio app weekdays 9 to noon. And, it's going to be great. So on Wednesday, I'll have the Rip City Drive live from Moda Center from 3 to 5. Chris Burkhart will have game day starting at 5. Tip-off with Minnesota at 7. And what I like about that game, too, like Minnesota is a good stiff test for this Blazer squad right out of the gate.
They need it. The entire month of November is going to be a test. They are going to be worked.
All right. Big thanks to Sean Hyken, Chris Burkhart, Brenden Slaughter. You guys have a good night. Enjoy the baseball game, Game 7, and Monday Night Football with both games. And I'll talk to you tomorrow with the Rip City Drive at 3 here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Chris Burkhart has got Courtside Monday coming up next.